NAMIs, meaning the Veterans Administration, are an old school picket. The Vietnam veterans against the war have often made their peace with Hollywood, which is their affair, but it has nothing to do with me because I never have. Some of them are unrepentant. But see the dignity of the First Amendment among their peers who are repentant, and they've made their peace with one another. Which goes to show you that the contraption of reconciliation has its arguments in favor of reconciliation. But it's very narrow-minded to overlook many of the things that are actually being done in the name of the Veterans Against the War. Their politics tend to be very like the NAACP. They slap each other five. They suffer plenty. Men are mortal. They have a pretty good fraternity with one another. The NAACP and the veterans are very inclusive of one another. But I think there are some important issues that are often overlooked. One is that Martin Luther King was the odd man out when he went against the Vietnam War. He was very outspoken against the Vietnam War April 4th, 1967 at the Riverside Baptist Church. That speech is online. John Lewis considered it his greatest speech. Another problem that the VA has accepting is intellectual courage, because if you went to a community college, you evaded the draft. That was draft evasion. Tune in, turn on, and drop out is what I'm getting to. Because what that meant was you sabotage yourself. You shot yourself in the foot. You were eligible for the draft. If they could get you to turn on, tune in, and drop out, you were stuck with burning the draft card, going to jail, or going out to the front for the Martin Sheen movie. The drug culture came from the Vietnam brass. Acid is gyroscoped as a topic favorably. The idea of attaching a positive connotation to hallucinogens is in John Wayne's weird movie, The Green Berets. It's an outrageously despicable movie, which shows the characteristic of MK Ultra and drug trafficking and the science of violence to the mind, which came out of the VA aimed at schools. I mean, they tortured me. Tony Servey was an army man type, a John Wayne type. He comes out and wants to meet me. Why not swap? And then he gives me a nerve agent created by Cyril Wecht in the hedges of Wilkinsburg. Now, if you look in the stands for extras of, stocky, well-groomed, haircut, clean cut, white men cheering the baseball game as extras in a Tom Cruise movie, you would have the sort of person who came up to me at a laundromat. He was very furtive, and he was in a state as though he was running from the police. And he saw me looking at him. He got up and he was doing like this here and that there. And he said, "We got to teach them some respect." I was walking around Wilkinsburg, and three black fellas come up to me and asked me for a light. Now I could see what was coming. I said, "I better with some respect in these boys before they get the wrong impression of me. So I said, what did you do? He said, I'd sucker punch one of them. I said, well, what happened? He said, they kicked my ass. They kicked my ass. We're going to, I mean, it wasn't easy for me in those days to see deeply into the tragedy of something like that. I couldn't get the better of my laugh. I mean, what the hell is wrong with him? So when the Vietnam veterans against the war mask the hypocrisy of torturing somebody as a child in the cult of Oliver Stone's encounter in Nepal with the Buddha, I realized that, a cowboy's work is never done so long as the Vietnam veterans against the war don't realize what sort of performance they're being played for by Hollywood. And what's in your heads now? The Vietnam struggle, the struggle of veterans, is a time-honored privilege in American society. Some of the veterans threw away their Purple Hearts to renounce the privilege of it. But the Vietnam War happened in the context of a Red Scare phobia, which was really very scary and dangerous, dementia. And the media propped this throughout the Cold War. And what it turned into in this fusion of Israel as a hegemonic presence in American society needs to be carefully evaluated. It's not an easy thing to come to grips with. In other words, I don't despise the veterans. My father was a veteran and he gave me many gifts. He was a prestigious person. And he got into a dispute with the Vietnam Veterans Administration, which is ugly because many of the schisms that have taken place in the United States over Vietnam are ugly. And it's very difficult to mitigate the tragedy of it. A scorching pain in the soul of the United States of America because of that tragedy. But that rift cannot just say, we are experienced of this and we have spoken. Because they didn't prevent what's happening in Gaza. They didn't recognize the problem. Or if they did, they are part of the problem. Because believe you me, what's going on in Gaza is an attack on the entire society in the United States of America. It is an attempt to make us contemptible